Hi guys, in this video, I want to show you how to model in a detailed way in Giraffe. And what I'm doing is I'm building up here an apartment pattern book or kit of parts or just apartment typologies. And then I'm using a flow to string them together into buildings, which you can see in another video. But in this video, I want to show you the techniques I use to create this sort of detailed model. And the first thing I do is I use the grid. So in Giraffe, you can turn the grid on and off, and you can edit the grid. So I would like a 600 mil grid, so 0.6 meters, and I'm going to hold shift and click that. And now if I turn the grid on, you can see it over there, quite faintly, but it is there. And, oh, sorry, I went too quickly there. If I grab the rectangle tool, or if I hit R, and then I hold S, and I drag, you can see I'm snapping to multiples of 600 mils. So that is 7.2 by 6.6. That's a 6.6 square. And so let's say for this next apartment that I'm going to build, maybe it's a different one-bed configuration, a one-bed plus a studio. So we would say that the living is 4.2, and then I'm just holding I'm holding Option to copy and shift to lock, and I get another rectangle. And now I'm going to pull this back 1.2, and I tapped R, and I'm going to pull that again. Now this bedroom I actually only want to be 3 meters wide, so I'm just going to pull that back, and then I'm going to pull this back, so 3 by 3. And then I'm holding R again, and this can be the bathroom. And then there'll be a little office nook over here. Don't know if this is a very good apartment design, but it's what we're living with. Okay, now we can add other geometries. Like I could say a queen bed, which is I think 1.53, 1.5. 2, so I just type that in directly by 2.03, so I just type that in. That's a queen bed, so I can see that fits into my bedroom. But we've got a sort of geometric representation of the apartment now. Now in Giraffe, we could just start changing the colors and build up the apartment like this, but the way that we actually do it is we use usages. So usages are here in the usage editor. And I've already made some, so I'm going to just show them to you. So I've got a living usage, and it has an efficiency and a cell efficiency, which is for every polygon, here's a polygon, for every polygon we draw of living, what do we want to report in the areas? And because I'm actually going to model the walls explicitly, we're going to report 100%. But say I drew my wall like this, right? A big thick wall. This polygon, you can see, goes under the wall. So you may set that to 95%. Say, of this 32 square meters, only 95% is actually sellable or usable because some of it is under the wall. That's when you don't even want to bother drawing the wall. You just want to make an allowance for it. But in our case, we are going to draw the wall. So set it to 100. You set a color. And critically, you set this no facades, the hide floors, and the hide verticals to true. So I'll show you actually just what that means. In Giraffe, you can also so here, why don't I do this? I'll grab one bedroom unit. You can see that's tall. That's 4.1 meters high. That's 4.1 meters long. It's 3.2 high. So if I change that to 1, the floor to floor changes. But what you can do in Giraffe, leave that at 3.2 and then add those properties. So the no facades property, and you see, as soon as I add that, the facades disappear. But we still have these verticals, so you can see this block of space is still 3.2 high, but we're just not rendering the sides or the facades of the block. So then I can add a property which is called hide verticals. And when I do that, there it is true. Those verticals turn on and off. And then the last property is slab thickness. And you can set that to 0.2. Then that's a 200 mil, 0.2 meter thick slab. So in my living usage, no facades, hide floors, hide vertical, slab thickness, they're all set. And so that means if I grab this and I make it living, it comes up 0.2. Now I've overridden the color, so I'm just going to click this, relink to usage, and it's going to go back to the usage color. And I'm not going to change anything there. So now this is going to be bedroom. This is going to be balcony. This is going to be bathroom. And unlink that color. And maybe let's just pull this out like that. All right, and so I'm making heavy use of the snap key. You can see my bed is just lying under there. So if I hold down the command key or the control key, I get X-ray, and then I can grab that bed and pull it out. And now I'm going to do a dimension, and I'm going to hold snap. So I'm on the grid, and this is a 7.2 meter wide apartment. And there's this end arrow and start arrow length, so I can narrow tremendously. There we go. And then we get a nice dimension string. Now I'm going to pull the sides in by 0.1. So I grab that chevron and I just type in 0.1 whilst I'm holding my key down, my mouse key down, then I let it up. And I'm going to do the same here, 0.1. And then I'm just going to hold the S key to bring these guys in. And the reason for that is to provide space for the wall. And now I can draw the wall in two ways. I can draw it just as a rectangle like that and apply the usage wall. And I hit the T key there, T, to go from 3D to 2D. Or I can draw a line and then apply an offset and then apply the wall usage. So I could do this and go offset. And you can see that offsets in both directions. And if I click on the flow editor to see that offset, you can see there it is. But I'm actually not going to do that, not for these purposes. So I'm just going to option drag this across and close that wall. Now I'm going to pull this 0.1. Oh dear. I'm holding my mouse down. I'm typing 0.1. Same over here. Same over here. And now I'm just going to grab this and this and this. Now I'm going to shift select all of these and hold the Y key, which is the eyedropper key, and click on that. And the properties from what I just clicked on get applied to these. So now I've got those walls over there. And I'm going to pull this balcony out 0.1, pull this bathroom back 0.1, and then holding that snap and that rectangle, finish those walls off. And this one, I'm actually going to just pull back like this and then pull like this. The reason for that is the indication of a door. And then I'm going to use that Y. And now I'll pull this bedroom like this out. Close that gap. And the last wall we need is this wall over here. So I will snap there. So I'm on the grid. And then here's an interesting trick. 0.1 minus will offset. And then I'll do this. Okay, so there is my apartment with its various walls and floors. And you can see I'm working very, very accurately and on this grid. And so if I know exactly that's 2.9. Why is this 2.9? Because it's actually on a 3 meter grid minus the 100 mils for the walls. And this is 4 meters because it's actually 4.2 meter grid minus 100 mils on each side. So I know my internal dimensions and my external dimensions. And depending on the standards I was working to, I would be able to build this thing up very, very, in a very straightforward way. All right. And then what I do is I'm just going to drag some copies of this wall like here. And this apartment typology, and I need the balcony wall as well, which I have. So I should do this, and then 0.1. Now I have a balcony wall in here, and all the balcony wall is one with the slab thickness set to 1.2 meters. And then we can override the colors like that and make this one sort of this. those are probably too similar. And we have ourselves an apartment, a new apartment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it compares with these apartments. So I reset the grid in this demo. So I'm going to use the M key. So I've selected that. I've tapped M for move. Now I'm snapping this guy to the grid. And now what I'm going to do is the same thing. And I'm going to move this guy, snap him to a neighboring grid. And the purpose of this exercise is to figure out how deep or shallow he is. And he's much shallower than him. So that's great. These two apartments are different shallowness. So I'll actually call this one a 1S for shallow. There we go. Right. And you can see in the next video how you apply this apartment to this flow, but why don't I just do it now? So the thing you need, we're going to turn this into a group. And so for us to make that work is we need to group it. But for us to be able to instance the group accurately, we need an insert point. And you can see my convention is the insert points go on the right-hand side there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a point, an insert point, I'm going to snap it there. And to make Giraffe know that this is an insert point, you just add the property block base point. And you set that property to true. And now when we group this guy and call it group 1S, he's ready to go onto this flow. And the way that we reference 1S into this flow is we need to add 1S to the data dictionary. And then we can just place it using the inputs, the apartment mix input. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 1C, 2SC, that's 2 start cap, 2 end cap. And now we have 1S for shallow, and that is 7.2 meters wide. So this dictionary is the name of the apartment plus its width, because it's its width that determines its logical placement. All right, and so what I can do now is you see I've got 2 start cap, it's capped over there. Then I got 1C, which is a call, and then I've got a 1. So if I put an S over there, you can see that gets shallow. That 1S has happened. And what I could do now is add another 1S if we wanted a very long building. And I'll remove the end caps. I'll just do a 2 at the end, like that. There we go. So you see now there's no cap to the corridor. It just ends. So in this video, what have I done? I have shown you how to draft precisely using snaps, keyboard input, the grid, and then I've shown you how to add this block with block base point to this flow. And the flow video is in how I made that flow is in another video.